Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a review and Bortnikoff week continues on Channel Ram. We are reviewing one of the, I would say, all-stars of the Dmitry Bortnikoff lineup, and the fragrance is Musk Khabib. Now, the fragrance is named after, I believe, a UFC fighter. I'm sorry, I'm not really into it, but I think Khabib is a famous UFC fighter from what I remember. But so Musk Khabib is supposed to be powerful and bold and daring and all the things you think about when you're buying a $350 fragrance for 50 mil that uses real musk, right? But is it all those things? So first of all, I'm going to read you the blurb. We're going to do my usual. We're going to talk a little bit about it. I have had this fragrance for 4 years, okay, give or take. And so this is one of the original wooden cap bottles. And so one thing that I must say is that there is a lot of talk, at least I've had some comments on my channel where folks said, hey, I got the new version of Musk Habib and it's so weak, it lasts 30 minutes or an hour. I've never smelled the new one. I can tell you that this lasts all day on me. It gets softer and softer and softer, but I can smell it for 12 hours, easy. And the first couple hours are pretty strong, but it's a Bortnikoff, and it feels like a Bortnikoff, and it wears like a Bortnikoff. It doesn't wear like a Russian Atom. We'll talk a little bit about that during the review as well. But just something I thought I should mention is the different versions, because there are some folks who swear by the wood cap version, which I have, and there are some folks that say as it's gone along, this is one of the Bortnikoffs that has suffered serious reformulation. I don't know if that's true or not, but just something I thought I should mention. So let's talk about the fragrance and the way it's written up on the Bortnikoff website. It says, Musk Khabib is a fragrance that will delight you with its complexity and power. The main ingredient of the fragrance is musk, which since ancient times has been considered a substance with mysterious qualities. It fascinates and captivates. Such precious ingredients as ambergris, oak moss, and tonka beans help reveal the beauty of musk with its incredible force and carnal sensuality hidden in the shadows of its animalic olfactive profile. The fragrance opens with a fresh note of bergamot decorated by the notes of nutmeg and cardamom, classic Dmitry Bortnikoff trio. Setting the oriental tone of the whole composition. Over time, bergamot dissolves into the sensual heart. Composed of ylang-ylang, tolu balsam, and cedar. The base consists of natural musk, ambergris, vanilla, tonka bean, oak moss, and vetiver. Musk Habib has an incredible sillage and exceptional longevity. So that's the blurb. And I will tell you, out and out, this is one of my favorite real musk fragrances. Now, to be fair, there's only so many real musk fragrances that I have or in my collection. I will also say that this is not my favorite real musk fragrance. I've actually ranked my real musk fragrances in a video. If you're interested, you can check it out. It's under my, this is not a top 10 ranked fragrances, if you will. And the reason is that I prefer, especially with musk, the style that Russian Atom does. So fragrances for me like Siberian musk, which I would love a bottle of this one day, or something like, for example, Inverno Russo, which I'm a huge fan of. I really like the way Russian Atom does his musks. Some people prefer the way Ensar does his musk, and I would love a bottle of EO2 along with Tonkin musk and all these amazing, impossible to find Ensars, right? So, you know, it's all taste, and there's different types of musk. So the type of deer musk used in Musk Habib and Siberian deer musk is Siberian deer musk is basically what it is. But there are other types of musks that can be used. I mentioned Tonkin musk and stuff like that, which some of those deer have been extinct for a long time, from my understanding. So how some of that musk is still floating around, it must be old stock from 50 years ago. I have no idea. But with the Siberian deer musk, the Russian government actually gives the local population, they live off of these animals basically, kind of like the Indians did off of the buffalo in America back in the day. They give them a certain amount of tags, and one part of the animal used is the musk pod. And so there is a legal market. That's how Bortnikoff sources his musk. That's how Aris Ladore from Russian Atom sources his musk as well. But that's it. I think Russia is the last country on earth that allows it. It's basically illegal everywhere else. So it is the way that they procure the ingredient is legal. And I'll tell you, if you've never smelled real musk, it is a treat and a joy. There is really nothing, I think, that can recreate this type of smell. Now, that being said, I actually really like the synthetic musks. Some of the synthetic musks that I've smelled, I think, are very, very good. But that being said, they're not this. They're not the real. They're not the real McCoy, as we say in America. So the thing about Bortnikoff's work that is so impressive is, to me, how he manages to sort of weave his signature style into all of these different types of fragrances. It's been basically Bortnikoff week. I've been catching up on all these Bortnikoffs I've had and never reviewed. And so immediately you might have mentioned, even in the write-up, they mentioned bergamot, nutmeg, and cardamom. And in the beginning, you're going to instantly get that. And if you've smelled other Bortnikoffs, you will pick up this similarity. He loves using cardamom and nutmeg. That spicy combination is almost like a signature for him, right? And to my nose, this opens up with that bergamot, cardamom, nutmeg in a fat slug of basically this chocolate-like musk. But the musk almost wears and feels like ambergris. It feels sparkly, and but it also has a little bit of this chocolatey like depth, if that makes sense. So it's not a heavy hitting musk. There are some musks, like I showed Siberian musk. This hits very heavy on the nose. You know, it really feels like the musk really dominates. Remember, this is a Bortnikoff, and it wears like a Bortnikoff. So the musk here, even though you get it, it is intertwined with the rest of the composition, if that makes sense. It feels very oily and powdery at the same time. It almost feels like you took a musk pod. If you've ever just Google deer musk pod, and you'll see exactly what they look like. You know, they're the pod with hair all over them usually. But once you open it up, inside it looks like almost like maybe chocolate ice cream or chocolate grains of sand or something like that, right? And that is what is actually tinctured normally, the inner grains of the pod, right? And so just imagine cutting open this pod with this powdery sort of grains of musk and just dropping it in oil. So you have powdery musk and oily at the same time. And I think that for this project, Bortnikoff sort of abandoned his style of using things like magnolia and frangipani and blue lotus and all these other exotic flowers that you get and you've heard me talk about in his other fragrances, which if you go to my Bortnikoff playlist, you'll see all the other reviews I've done. I've done a lot of work with the House of Bortnikoff. And he gave up on these very unique florals, and for this project, he chose to amplify ylang ylang specifically. The ylang ylang is almost the key to this fragrance to my nose. Yes, obviously using the real musk is important. Using the real ambergris is also important, which many people don't touch on, but the real ambergris is important. And the ylang ylang note is the, I would say, note that he decided to amp up to the extreme. And in fact, a friend of mine was looking for an out and out ylang ylang, and this was one of my recommendations. So in typical Bortnikoff fashion, even though he's not using his Bortnikoff bouquet, if you want to call it that, of florals, which, like we talked about, magnolia and frangipani and all that stuff, what he's done is, you know, if you've come to kind of know his work by smelling things like Oud Maximus, Oud Monarch, Amber Cologne, Oud Sinaharaja, all of which I have reviews on the channel, even though the floral style isn't done in the same, it's not done with the same florals, the volume and the way that he's turned the florals up wear like a proper Bortnikoff. This is his DNA through and through, right? And I like the fact that Bortnikoff went in this lane and Russian Adam went in this lane, and they were very strict about not letting the streams cross, if that makes sense. Even though they both distilled oud for Feel Oud, when they each launched their house, they were very strict and serious about wanting to have their own styles, and I really respect that. And the more you smell each, like the more you smell Orige Ladore and compare it to Bortnikoff, the more you see how true that really is. It really is so uniquely distinct, even though they're both creating fragrances that use oud or musk or, you know, focus on ambergris or stuff like that. Their styles are so vastly unique. It's really something to get to know. And I heard a wise man once say that everything should feel right to all of your senses, right? So you can apply this to the fragrance reviewers that you watch as well, your other fragrance reviewers. It should look right when you're watching them, right? And if you close your eyes, it should sound right, what they're saying. And if you close your eyes and cover your ears, it should smell right. The stuff that they're telling you should go along with what you're smelling, right? You know, everything all comes together. It's the overall test. It's not just the smell test. It's not just the eye test. It's the ear test, and if you can feel it, it's the all of your senses basically, right? Taste goes with smell as well. And so it should be right. It should feel right to all of your senses, and that is exactly how Musk Khabib feels to me as someone who really knows Dmitry Bortnikoff's work. I feel like I said, I've done a lot of work on his fragrances on his channel, a ton of reviews, a ton of time spent sniffing his work and getting to know his signature. And this passes that test through and through. And this is why it's probably one of the most popular Bortnikoff fragrances, because many people, they see the name and they see it's named after a UFC fighter, whoever the hell he is. And, you know, they imagine that it's going to be this huge musk bomb, right? And it's not. At least not to me. The way that it wears to me is a proper Bortnikoff creation. That's the best way I can describe it to you. So the rest of the breakdown, note breakdown, after the top of the bergamot, nutmeg, and cardamom is ylang ylang, cedarwood, tolu balsam in the heart, with a base of ambergris, real deer musk, oak moss, vetiver, tonka bean, and vanilla. That's basically the note breakdown, right? And so I will say, in a perfect world, if you said, Ramsey, we're going to create a musk fragrance for you, I would say, I want the musk, not only the musk pod to be tinctured, which basically makes the inner contents of the pod, like I was talking about earlier. You cut it open, you tincture the inside of the pod, which is that grainy substance, and that usually gives you this sort of powdery, furry, soft, fluffy like smell, right? That's that soft muskiness, that almost like a warm blanket. It just envelops you, right? The other side of the pod, though, is the skin itself. So you cut it open, and on the outside of the pod is the skin around the pod. Well, if you actually tincture the skin, it gives you more of like a leathery, animalic, a smell that almost feels like castoreum, or that beaver tail oil that Russian Adam used in his Cuir de Russie, right? It makes it feel more animalic and more leathery. And that's my favorite type of musk. And that's the type of musk that is used in Siberian deer musk, along with the pods, not just one or the other. A lot of times perfumers will use both, especially someone like Russian Adam. Or if you've smelled Inverno Russo, that has both. The leatheriness, the animalic side, and the grains tinctured. Here, it doesn't smell like you get that animalic aspect. But that's Dmitry Bortnikoff's work. He's trying many of his line. I've learned that a lot of his lines are, when he creates these type of fragrances, he wants them to be wearable. So he's trying to use this rare and amazing ingredient. I mean, how many people get a chance to smell real musk, especially in 2024? It is a blessing and an honor, you know, because nowadays when you see musk in a note listing, 99.9999999% of the time, it's synthetic. That's just the way it is. And it's funny because one of the biggest shocks to me is, even if you go back 100 years and you think, okay, these guys in 1924, right, pull some of the work from Coty or Guerlain or whatever it is, Parfum d'Orsay, whoever these old-timey houses were, and you think they're using real deer musk? They weren't. Even back then, they were using synthetic deer musk. So for today, in 2024, to get to smell a fragrance that uses real deer musk is a gift and an honor. But Dmitry Bortnikoff sort of creates it in his style. The musk here feels like the inside of the musk. It feels very powdery and soft and fluffy, and the musk almost feels edible in this perfume. I mentioned in the beginning, there's a chocolatey aspect to this to me. It feels like this attractive sexual musk. Like if you ever looked at someone and said, I just want to eat you up because you're so sexy, right? That's kind of what the musk feels like in this composition. And I heard Ensar talking about musk recently and how oud is used for things like meditation and contemplative nights and thinking and stuff like that. You know, if you have like a problem you need to solve, put some oud on and just let your thoughts go, right? But musk is for the nights with your lover or wife or whatever it is. And so musk is supposed to have this sort of primal, attractive, sexual feel because just imagine, obviously, the male deer uses the pod for two things: for basically warding off his rivals, marking his territory, saying, if you come in here, I'll fuck you up, or showing the other female deers that, hey, I'm a badass, I'm a stud, right? Smell how healthy I am by my markings. And so Ensar was saying, just imagine if you link your memories of the night with your lover, or constant nights with your lovers. Whenever you smell the smell, you'll instantly think back to all this wealth of knowledge and memories. And I really like that, and I can completely see where that idea is coming from. So it's an interesting thought. But I one thing I should mention about Musk Khabib is I really feel like the ambergris, if you smelled amber cologne, which I've reviewed on the channel very recently, the way that ambergris plays this huge role in amber cologne. You know, many people hear the name amber cologne and they think it's an amber fragrance, like a labdanum, vanilla, balsams and resins, that kind of like a proper amber. It's actually referring to ambergris. It's referring to gray amber. There's gray amber and brown amber in amber cologne. And if you know the way that the ambergris kind of feels and smells in there in amber cologne, imagine smelling the ambergris in a composition like this. But in amber cologne, there's not this huge slug of chocolatey, powdery, furry musks to kind of steal the space. You know, the musk to me acts like a space eater. It just fills all of the crevices and the holes, you know. It's like a foam, you know. Just imagine when you shave, you put the foam on, it just covers your face, right? It just fills all of the spots. And that's kind of what the musk feels like in a composition to me. It just sort of expands, if you will, and just fills all of those little crevices and gaps. And so, you know, when you smell real deer musk, you're not just smelling the musk itself. So even though Musk Khabib has this very warm, fuzzy, furry, like you're actually smelling the fur on a deer in real life, right? That's kind of the image. So in my neighborhood during Christmas time, they would bring sort of reindeers around for the kids. The kids like to pet them and stuff like that. And so I pet the reindeer as well. And that sort of feel of its fur always stuck with me. You know, reindeer had this very soft but also coarse at the same time fur. And I'm sure it's soft because it's in captivity. Probably if it was a reindeer in Siberia or wherever the hell they live, I bet you it would have much different feeling fur. But that's kind of my frame of reference, right? Is petting that damn reindeer, and so you kind of get this feel of actually petting, smelling the animal. The musk, the real musk gives you this feel of, you know, petting the animal, feeling the fur, but also smelling the environment that the animal lives in. It's not just the animal. It's not just the musk itself. It's also the grass that it eats, or in this case with the reindeer, it was the hay that it was eating. But this grass, hay, it's also the moss on the trees. It's the greenery. It's the flowers. And speaking of flowers, what I'm going to say is the star of the show to me is obviously the musk is the star, but I mentioned it earlier, the ylang ylang. I really feel like the floral aspect of this, that Dmitry Bortnikoff specifically chose that ylang ylang note to amplify, right? Because for whatever reason, maybe it's because he didn't use it in huge quantities in other creations of his, or if he did, I don't know of them, right? I haven't smelled everything from his work. I haven't smelled things like Vetiver Nocturne or many other Bortnikoffs. But if he did use that overdose of ylang ylang, I have not smelled it. And so to me, I think it creates this very yellow, powdery, some say that banana-like feel. Others say ylang ylang can feel like this custard, like a sweet floral custard. And I agree with all of those. There's definitely this big yellow, just color in my head when I smell this because the ylang ylang is so prominent. Have you ever seen ylang ylang flowers? They're beautiful. They're kind of like these weird droopy flowers. Look them up. They're kind of cool. But I think that sweet floral custard vibe plays a huge part in Musk Khabib, and it makes it distinct. It really, I think, is a sort of brilliant use of ylang ylang. And so, you know, the musk here isn't this big. The main takeaway that I'll leave you with is the musk in Musk Khabib isn't this big, powerful, forceful, focused, you know, aggressive musk. It isn't. If you want that kind of musk, check out Aries Ladore's work. I'm telling you. And this is my favorite type of musk. I love musks done in this style. Like when I wear a musk, the musk in Russian Adams creations just absolutely jump off the page. And if that's the kind of musk you're looking for, check out Aries Ladore's work. If you want something that is more sort of blended overall, where the musk is one component of a composition, that's where I think Musk Khabib really plays a role. And that's why I've heard some people say that this is more signature scent. This is like special occasion. This is signature scent, right? This is what you wear every day, like if you had a signature scent, right? I don't have a signature scent because I like switching everything up, but if you had a signature scent, Musk Khabib could be one of those fragrances where you could easily wear it to the office. And imagine wearing a real musk fragrance to the office. I mean, it's almost incomprehensible. But here, Bortnikoff makes it work because of his style. The other thing that it does is it's completely and utterly unisex, 100% down the middle. I would love to smell this on a woman, like a confident woman wearing this. My God, that would be just sexy as hell. So this big floral animalic, you know, slightly animalic, but the animalic bits come, I think, just as much from the ambergris as they come from the musk. I don't think that the reviewers who focus so much on the musk are doing this fragrance a proper justice because, you know, I just think there's other animalic bits playing, especially the ambergris playing its role. And if you've smelled amber cologne, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There are some notes that I don't pick up very much of as well. So cedarwood is listed. I really can't say I get very much cedar. Tolu balsam is listed. Maybe that just kind of helps the overall accord, give it a little bit of this ambery, you know, vanillic balsam-like feel. There is vanilla in here as well. There is vetiver and oak moss, which I think vetiver and oak moss maybe just kind of play in tandem off of each other to give that environment, that deer environment that I was mentioning earlier, where it's almost like you're standing there, like you're standing in a spot, a point in time, right next to the deer, and you smell the whole world around you, not just the deer, the whole world, right? And that includes things like the oak moss, the vetiver, the grassiness, and maybe that's where that little bit of green touch comes in, right? And sometimes musks will give you a little bit of that. Sometimes you'll get bits and pieces that you wouldn't expect. Like, how does musk smell green? Sometimes it does, you know, and I think that's just part of the blend. But that's the main takeaway, I think. If you're interested in Musk Khabib or interested in Bortnikoff's work, when you're smelling it, you know, if you're using this as a case study in musk, you're going to be probably disappointed because you're going to get so much of that custard floral. You're going to get his patented spices in the top. You're going to get that ambergris that kind of competes with the musk. But if you're buying it because you want a beautiful real musk fragrance that can be worn more easily, let's say, I have no problem wearing this. And honestly, I would wear this to work as well, or any other occasion you can imagine, because I love this type of perfumery. But if you're someone who is more cognizant, let's say, of what you wear and where you wear it and stuff like that, that's where I think Bortnikoff's work can really appeal to people, because it gives you these amazing ingredients, but in a blend where it's blended so beautifully. And you know, it's blended in a way where you can wear this without sort of that one note maybe piercing and bothering somebody next to you, if you care, right? So that's kind of my my review of Musk Khabib. I think I have a couple more Bortnikoffs to go. Chypre du Nord. And that is going to be, Chypre du Nord, I found, really shares some similarities with Musk Khabib to me. So I'll be reviewing that very soon. But that's the last full bottle, Chypre du Nord. After that, it's all samples. So I've got some samples of some of his fragrances, which I have not talked about on the channel yet. Like, for example, things like Zemfira and stuff like that. Tabak Dore, stuff like that. Couple more samples. But after that, I think we've pretty much exhausted my Bortnikoff lineup. So I would love to try some of the new stuff. He put out a fragrance called Rich in 2023. And I think his son, Maxim, put out a fragrance called Victoria in 2023. And in 2024, I saw a fragrance in 24. And let's see if I can find it real quick, just out of curiosity. I was looking at it earlier. Now I'm not going to be able to find it, of course. But I know he's put some stuff out in 2024. Oh, he put out the Attar. Rich came out at the end of 2023, and the Elixir, the Attar, came out in 2024. So there is still new stuff coming out from the house. So anyways, more Bortnikoffs to come is where I was going with that. But there's still a lot I haven't smelled or talked about on the channel. I actually bought a bottle of Sir Winston, and it leaked on me. If you follow my old videos, you probably would have seen that. And so luckily I didn't have to pay for it. But yes, I had a vintage bottle of Sir Winston being sent my way and just having it all leak. That really bummed me out. But so yes, there will be more Bortnikoffs to come, but I have made a pretty damn good dent in his lineup. So check out the Bortnikoff playlist if you're interested in any of the others. If you have any experience with Musk Khabib, as always, I love seeing your thoughts in the comments. Leave your thoughts down below. Appreciate everyone watching and commenting and all the beautiful things you guys do to support the channel. So thanks everyone. Cheers, guys. Have a great night. Bye-bye.